coming back to the George Eastman House is like coming back home. Eastman House is the place that formed me as a professional, the place where I have learned all the skills, the arts and crafts of curatorship, and it is a place where I found the collection that made me fall in love with the history of cinema. The motion picture collection at George Eastman House is one of the greatest film collections in the United States and worldwide. What's unique about this collection has to do with the range, the scope, and depth of the areas it covers. You can really basically learn the whole history of cinema here, from the very early years, from the beginnings of cinema to independent and contemporary cinema, thanks to the collections of Martin Scorsese and other filmmakers who have either deposited or donated their works here. George Eastman House has recently acquired two really important collections, such as the Technicolor collection and the Merchant Ivory collection. These are two quintessential examples of research collections. If anybody is interested in learning the history of color in the moving image, you cannot write such a history without knowing what Technicolor was and is, and to know that George Eastman House is the place where you can reconstruct this history from the beginning to the present is just extraordinary. The same applies to the work of Merchant Ivory, two important filmmakers whose influence in the motion picture industry has been considerable. I feel that the institution is uniquely placed to address also the new history of the medium, the transition from the analog to the digital. It is also in the digital domain that I intend to operate, both in terms of acquisition and preservation, not to mention, of course, access, because in the digital world, preserving means providing access. The institution of the Selznick School of Film Preservation can be seen as a sort of visionary act on the part of Mr. Jeffrey Selznick. I still recall the first conversation I had with him when we were thinking about a new initiative to be undertaken at the George Eastman House. At the time, there was no permanent course in education and training in film preservation, and this was Jeffrey's idea. All I did was helping him in materialize the idea in an operational concept, in a business case, and with the contribution of the Louis B. Mayer Foundation, we turned it into something that is now regarded as one of the leaders in the education and training in moving image preservation. There are Selznick graduates in every single continent, working in a variety of institutions, both commercial and not commercial, and it is at the same time surprising and exhilarating to see that the Selznick School message has spread so widely across the globe. For us as professionals, it also means having the opportunity to work with a sort of professional family of people who very much know what our language is, people who share our ideals and our visions, and people who are also friends. And that's an important part of the pleasure of running the Selznick School of Film Preservation. The creation of a network of professionals under the aegis of the Selznick School, with the collaboration, of course, of other institutions, is our message to the future. It is our way of saying that there is no way we will be able to cope with the huge challenges facing us in this age of transformation without a cohesive, collective approach to our mission. We need to speak the same professional and intellectual language, but not only that, we need to share ideals, we need to share a vision, we need to know that wherever we go, the word preservation, the word culture, the word curatorship will be understood in the same way. The future I see for the Eastman House motion picture collections is a future that in a way may be seen as twofold. I see the Eastman House as the place where The history of the new media is written day by day through the development of the technologies and aesthetics of the moving image. I see the Eastman House as the place that will continue to protect the values attached to the experience of the motion pictures as they have been seen by generations of viewers in the course of the 20th century. But then these two directions are not meant to be seen as separate. They have to be seen as a sort of a single entity, because history is not made of drawers. It's not made of distinct categories. History is a continuum. It is a flow, and even the transition from the photochemical image to the digital image is going through a number of phases where even the boundaries between one technology and the other are really difficult to draw. I see the Eastman House ultimately as the place where people will come in order to have the best possible understanding of this evolution in the history of the moving image media.